Okay, welcome to the 215 session. Thank you guys for being with me today. My name is Scott Rendell. I'm a Microsoft employee. I work with partners, so I'm a partner solution architect in the partner group. But I'm going to do a shameless plug here. I'm also one of the newest president of the Microsoft Teams user group. Anybody here ever attend a Teams user group? Okay, well, I highly suggest that you look us up at teamsug.com. So the Teams user group is a nonprofit. We have quarterly meetings in 28 cities around the US. It's a 3-hour meeting. We'll feed you, and we talk about Teams and Copilot, and it's a good networking event. We have partners there. We have sponsors come. It's a user group, right? So there's a lot of talking, sharing of ideas, sharing of issues to solve problems and things like that. It's a really nice event. The reason I'm telling you all this is because if you go to one of our sponsors booths in the expo hall, you might see a little placard that talks about having raffling metal glasses. If you scan the QR code there, and then come to the Teams user group booth and scan the QR code there, we will give you a raffle ticket along with the information of where and when the raffle will be, so you can win a pair of meta glasses. I am not currently recording you, okay, so you know, but we are recording from back there. So quick shameless plug. Now, the reason we're all here is because of Comms vNext. All right, so they've got sponsors that help pay for all the wonderful things that you see here and have experienced today. So be sure to at least go by and say, hey, thanks for being a sponsor. All right, from an introduction standpoint, my name is Scott Rendell. I told you I'm a partner solution architect and that I'm on the board, but I'm also a UC enthusiast. However, as I've gotten older, and yes, I am older than you think, I began to collect antique technology. So I'm an old phone guy. So for anybody that's ever been in the telephone industry, you might recognize some of these. That candlestick phone with a rotary dialer. Ask a teenager today how to use that. They won't have a clue. They won't even know. But these are from my collection. So on the left is a 1917 Victor. It predates the Victrola. Okay, for those of you that are familiar with these old record players. That plays 78s and is 100% mechanical. The entire mechanical part of it is about that big. There's a crank that goes to a spring, and then there's a setting so you can adjust the 78 speed a little faster or slower, and that's all the mechanics. And then the audio comes simply from a needle and a horn. And the horn comes into, I don't think this is. So the horn comes into this spot right here, and then the volume control is just open or shut the doors. So, did you have a comment or a question? Yeah, it was a Victor. So yeah, they call it a Victor before they merged with Motorola to get the Victrola. All right, and then this is a German music box. It's called a Symphonian. That particular box was made in Germany in 1895. It comes with discs that are about 7 inches long that have been perforated. And it's just like the old little crank music boxes you have. But because it's in that box and the way it's designed, it's actually very beautiful, but it only plays for 30 seconds. So I'm a huge antique geek, right? With my goal being to open up a museum someday, because I've got a lot of stuff. My wife built me a shed because she was tired of all the stuff in the house. She's like, go put all that crap out in your shed. All right, but that's not why we're here. Why we're here is to talk about Copilot Chat. Now, how many of you understand the difference between Copilot Chat and M365 Copilot? Just by a show of hands. Come on in. All right, good. Nope, all good. So, Microsoft has a product called Copilot. It's our generative AI. How many, by show of hands, how many knew that? Okay, everybody knows Copilot, all right. Comes in 2 flavors, all right? We've got Copilot Chat, that's free. Let me say that again. It's free. You can have it. Everybody can have it. How many of you have Microsoft accounts? And I don't mean Microsoft.com. I'm talking Hotmail, Live, Outlook. Okay, you have it already. It's there. So if you use that account for Office apps, it's in your Office apps already, and you're going to get a chance to see that. Okay? And then M365 Copilot is our enterprise grade. It's the paid version, right? The thing you need to understand is they're the exact same Copilot. So all that investment we made to go for the enterprise grade is the exact same one that you get for free. The only difference is the free version does not iterate in your tenant. Well, if you're using just a Microsoft account, then you don't have it. You have a tenant, believe it or not. You wouldn't know about it because it's automatically provisioned when you get your email account. But it's not something you would ever use, something you'd ever have to worry about. but technically you do, okay? And it's covered with enterprise data protection, all right? So you can use this free Copilot. Now, I've been at Microsoft 14 years, which is no great achievement, considering there are people at Microsoft 35 years, and there's a lot of them. Every organization within Microsoft that I've worked for always had dozens of people that have been at Microsoft 20, 25, 30 years. So 14 is no big accomplishment. It is for me, it's the longest I've worked anywhere. But my point is, in the 14 years that I've been here and my previous knowledge of Microsoft, I don't know that they've ever given a product away free. I think this is the first time. And you know what's interesting about this product? Copilot is specifically made for you and you and you and you. Yours. It's meant to help you. It's not Word or Outlook. It's AI. And it's put in place to help you save time, like our friend up here. He had so much work, he couldn't get anything done. Our other friend's like, hey, man, you should just use Copilot for that. Right? Because Copilot, the thing that Copilot does for you is it saves time. You guys are hopefully I'm going to show you some amazing demos where Copilot really will save you some time. Oh, by the way, just full disclosure, Copilot made every one of these. I gave it a prompt. I said, in the comic strip form, and then I gave it a little bit of a prompt about the information I wanted. It came up with all the graphics, okay? It did everything. So if you're not amazed by that, hopefully my demos will amaze you. But Copilot did all of this, just from a prompt. This one, I think I said, okay, so this prompt I used was, create me a comic strip that basically states that Copilot is in all Microsoft apps. And look what it did. Not only did it know to create the comic strip, it knows the different Copilots that exist and the different applications that they exist in. All from that one prompt. Pretty amazing. Yeah, which Copilot do I use? So Copilot is everywhere you work. It's in Word, it's in Excel, it's in PowerPoint, it's in OneNote now I saw, okay? And that's the productivity suite that most of us work in. How many of you work in Excel? Show of hands. A couple of you? How about PowerPoint? A couple of you? And Word? Same amount of hands, right? So it's right there. And it's free. And the stuff it does, oh my gosh. Wait till you see the stuff it does. All right. We will talk a little bit about agents. How many people understand what agents are? Oh, everybody. Oh, fantastic. Okay, good. Guess what? Free Copilot chat, you can build an agent. Now, it doesn't know about your email, okay? But what it is it's grounded in the web, so you can have it do things to help you in your daily life. I recently used it to do a comparison for car shopping. Build me a table and show me the comparison of the cars on all these different aspects of a car, best value. My wife, when we were doing that, likes to negotiate cars, when she goes to buy a car. So you know what she did? She said, all the dealerships in our local area, itemize how I best negotiate with them. It just so happened the dealership we went to, Copilot said, yeah, they don't negotiate. But it did for some of the others. So she said, yeah, if you go here, mention this, mention that. But if you go to this one, and that's the one we went to, there's like, yeah, they don't negotiate. Oh, what are you going to do? But agents are things that help automate tasks for you. So if there's a task that you run on a regular basis, maybe you're an enthusiast like I am, and I want to be kept up on all of the new postings for antiques that are put out on the market. Rather than going to every website, I could create an agent that I could fire off on my own, because agents in this case are manually triggered. You go into your agent, and that's where you work. So an agent is just an application with specific instructions inside Copilot. So I'm looking for antiques. So I might build an agent that says, I'm looking for antiques, but only in this local area and only in this price range. So it knows those instructions. So when I go to that agent and say, what are the new postings this week? It knows to only do my local area, and it knows to exclude things outside of the price range that I specified. Now, if I had to do that every time, that's a little time consuming, right? I have to maybe do a search, a web search, or if I know the specific websites, go crawl through all the recent listings. That's time consuming. Agents will save you time. Now, that's one example. Here's the thing. You have to come up with your own examples. I can give you prompts all day long, and I can teach you how to talk to Copilot so that Copilot will teach you how to talk to it, okay? But the ideas and the prompts and the agents you create have to come from you, because this product is meant for you. Okay? And in the enterprise side, imagine what it can do if it has access to all your company files and things like that. Now, that may scare you. But here's the thing. Copilot is identity-based. So if you had paid Copilot and you were in your tenant and you asked to see the boss's salary, unless by some mix-up they didn't lock it down, Copilot would find it and give it to you, right? So that's a whole separate conversation. My point being, it's there to work for you, and the free version is grounded in the web. Okay, so it knows to go out to the web, things like that. Now, what it won't do is share personal information. So a little bit about prompting. When you put in a prompt, Copilot translates that prompt before it sends it to the LLM. So if you said, my name is Stephanie, and I want to know about this, right? Copilot would strip Stephanie and say, hey, just give me information about this. Copilot doesn't care what your name is, except that it will remember your name and say, okay, Stephanie, here you go. And I hope your name's not Stephanie. Okay. All right. So it's grounded in the web. And the agents will save you time. And you don't have to be afraid of it. You're not going to break anything. And I encourage you to try it. So I will show you some things that you will hopefully take back and try on your own once we get to the demo portion. And I'm sure you guys probably read this. Microsoft does give you some first-party agents in the free version. So you'll see a couple of them, and I'll show them to you. Obviously, in the paid version, there's a lot more first-party and third-party agents. Third-party agents are agents that are built by partners and customers. Okay, prompting, the good, the bad, and the hallucinations. I have a coworker who said hallucinations are the output of bad prompting. And I believe that to a degree. No, you disagree? You're shaking your head. You disagree? Okay. Fireflies did. Okay. Facilitator. Yeah, yes, facilitator. Yeah. That's okay. English is my second language. So. Well, you were talking about hallucinations that are results of, and I said they were a result of prompting, and you disagreed. You said the agent was hallucinating. Was hallucinating, yes. Correct. Right. So we're not 100% yet, right? And Fireflies, for the room and for the recording, is not a Microsoft product. Yep. So, and not that I'm slamming other products. Listen, we have our problems. They have their problems. We're all trying to fix our problems. Okay. But when you're prompting, it's best as a best practice to use things like context. For example, let's say I need to understand quantum physics. All right. Now, I probably shouldn't say this, but I only have a high school education plus some technical colleges and the things I've picked up and learned over my lifetime, which are, sizable because I'm a very curious person. But I would never understand the math behind quantum physics. So I could actually go to Copilot and say, at a high school graduate level, explain quantum physics to me. So I've given it context. I've basically told it what the output should be. And then I said, explain quantum physics. And I just said, explain quantum physics. It might give me a whole string of engineering information that I would never know, or math, right? I could say I'm a 5-year-old, explain quantum physics to me. And it would explain quantum physics at a 5-year-old level because it understood the context, okay? The other thing you can do is specify the way you want the output to look, which is really clever. So in my car thing, when I did my car search, I actually said, in the prompt, I want the output to be year, make, model, average MSRP for this zip code, right? And then a couple of other things. And then I think I said price it high to low. And it did all that because I gave it specific information. So the more specific you can be with Copilot, the better information you're going to get out of it, because context is what it really needs. Don't forget, Copilot doesn't think. It pattern matches. Okay? It's got a humongous, they call them LLMs, call it a database if you want, of pattern matching. And it's very extensive pattern matching based on words and phrases and keywords and things like that. Okay, and it knows how to build tables and things like that. There's some intelligence from a standpoint of it understands how to build PowerPoint slides and work in Excel spreadsheets and deal with formulas and things like that. That's the intelligence behind it. And I animated this slide just because I knew I was going to be talking about prompting. I didn't want to click through it. Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You could actually ask Copilot to build your prompts for you. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people have. And back then they didn't realize that. But the LLMs are getting better. Okay. They're being expanded. How many of you are familiar with Anthropic or Claude? Okay. Right. So Claude, Microsoft now allows use of Claude. Right. Not in the free version, but because we're still using OpenAI. But in the paid version, you can use Claude, Opus, and Sonnet. Okay. The OpenAI stuff is still there. Okay. But now it's that. And there's, it opens the door for other LLMs to be used as well. The reason Microsoft chose Claude, from what I've heard, is it reasons better with deep research. So that's kind of a clever thing. So if you're doing some deep, matter of fact, we're so convinced that it does better in our deep research. In our researcher agent, the default is Claude. So if you have the paid version and you're in the researcher agent, it'll iterate for 30 minutes. Right, but it'll let you know the steps that it's taking along the way so you know that it's moving. But it'll give you some very detailed information. I mean, think about how long it would take you to do that kind of research. So again, it's all about the time savings. Okay, so I think we got the whole idea. I'm probably so I just did a promptathon in 2 minutes for you guys. All right, Work IQ. This one's interesting because I'm not 100% sure that Work IQ works in the free version, but it would have to. So work with me here for a minute. So in the paid version, Work IQ understands your user identity. It understands all the files you work with, right? It understands the people you work with, the types of files and emails you have, who you send emails to and from, things like that. It understands all that and it remembers it. So it has context already when you start asking it questions. So now I'm trying to think. In the free version, how would Work IQ fit into this? And I think the answer is in the modifying of the prompt is where Work IQ inserts itself. Because you, as a single free user, you don't have context. You have files, but it's not reading them, okay, unless you upload it. But I think what's going on is in the back end, there's intelligence on how Work IQ instructs Copilot to then reach out to the LLM. And I believe that's the way it works from an engineering standpoint, because Work IQ really is meant to be within your tenant. But my point is, Copilot has gotten so much smarter since Work IQ rolled out that I can only imagine that it's got to be in the agent mode that I'm going to tell you about, or edit in Copilot when I do the demos. So I think it's there, and I think it's what enables the free version of Edit with Copilot in the applications, and you'll get a chance to see that. Because before you couldn't create a PowerPoint. You had to give it an agenda, right? It might create some slides, but it wasn't really good at it. You're gonna be blown away by what it can do now, all right? And that's all in the free version as well, okay? So Work IQ is still infused even in the free version, but it's limited because it doesn't have a lot of data to work with about you, but it still knows how to do those things. Oh, are we that far? Okay. Enough talking. Let's move on to the demos. That's the fun stuff. And I've got 40 minutes, so we can have some fun with demos. So this is going to be very interactive. So I got to remove the clicker now. We'll share my screen. And we'll plug the power back in because I only have limited ports here. Okay, good. All right, so again, we are going to be in the free version. So I have a number of user identities. Sorry. Nope. So while this is working on connecting, I've done a number of these presentations And I've been bitten by networks and Copilot working slow and things like that. So I've actually pre-recorded mine, okay, for two reasons. One, in case Copilot fails for whatever reason due to network problems or whatever. The other is, probably shouldn't have my friend's information up there, sorry. Wait for that. Fire up Copilot again. But the other thing is the PowerPoint, when I ran it, tell me what problems here. Yeah, well, this is what I was afraid of. So we'll let that, see if that'll sync. In the meantime, we'll go back to the presentation. Start with that. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to show you is not the agentic stuff, because I wanted to do that live. So if I authenticate better here, I have a better wireless hotspot. No. Give me 1 second, folks. I'm sorry. The Wi-Fi network here is not real strong. We have a hotspot in here, don't we? No? What's that? It's advanced, right? Is that the network that we're using? Okay, and then can you tell me the password? Okay. All right, let me try that. Yeah, if you turn it up, that's a Ubiquity hotspot. So capital Level 1. Oh, crap. Sorry. Okay. That looks better. You know what, let that sit and see if it'll update. So, all right, so what I want to show you is a demo for Excel. And so let me set up this slide for you before it plays, all right? So what we have here is Excel, a blank Excel spreadsheet. What I've asked Copilot to do, and you'll see this in the prompt, was to create 5 tabs of sample sales data. Now think about what I just said, what I just asked it to do. I'm asking it to create. Now, if you want to work in Excel, you have to input data on your own, or you have to copy data from somewhere else, right? To put it into Excel, and then you have to work with it. You have to know how to use tables, forms, formatting, all of that stuff. Otherwise, you're just going to have a spreadsheet full of, eye chart. Okay. Watch what happens here. Now, first thing I will show you, play, is that I fired up Copilot, okay? There was a little Copilot icon down there. I clicked it, and now Copilot is opening a pane. Okay, now, a few months ago, Microsoft released a new feature within Copilot called Agent Mode. Okay, Agent Mode lasted about a month. And then they renamed it Edit with Copilot. So what do we see here? Allow editing. It's now turned on by default. And I'm logged in. See this? That's my Hotmail account icon. And I think I might actually show that, but I'm in my Hotmail account. I do not have a paid subscription to Copilot in my Hotmail account. It's just an email account. Okay? But I have Copilot and I have Edit in Copilot. Watch what this does. And again, all of you have this. You can go home and try it tonight. You most likely should have it. All right, so let Edit do your work. There was a switch there called Finance. I turned that on, making it understand that the sheet I'm going to be working in is a finance-based spreadsheet. There's my prompt. Okay, I don't know if you can read that. Create a sales tracking spreadsheet with 5 tabs. Each tab will be sales information about a salesperson that you will make up. So I'm just asking it to make up nonsense data, okay? Because I'm going to work with this. I'm playing. This is a sandbox for me, okay? Each salesperson is assigned to a region in the US, create sample data that would normally be found in a sales tracking spreadsheet. Make sure that the unit price remains the same, but the units sold for each person is different. The reason I put that in there is because when I did my test run of this, every salesperson had the exact same numbers. So I was like, okay, you can keep the unit price the same, but let's change up. So was that a hallucination? So when I first did this, it created my tabs, but every single salesperson had the exact same sales information. Some would call that a hallucination. I would say I didn't give it enough context. So what did I do? I added context. Make sure the unit price remains the same, but the units sold for each salesperson is different. Okay, I'm giving it a little more context. Check this out. This is going to blow your mind. Because never before has an AI created tabs in Excel until recently. Boom, look at that. Now, as you keep watching, it's going to format, right? So look, it made it gave us a table, gave us a header, right? It created 5 tabs. It should still be running, right? Yes, it is. It's still running. Okay, because I'm going to scroll down. So it's still iterating now, but it's giving me some basic information about what it just created. And it's done now. So there they are, my 5 tabs, and you can see the prices are changing. Okay, so now I've got my sample data. So what I might do next as a sales manager is I might be like, I want a new tab and provide sales analysis and insights. So tell me about what's going on with my salespeople and give me some insights that maybe I can't glean from that. Now think about how long this would take. I've got to go through 5 of these. I've got to copy and paste all those in the table somewhere. I've got to figure out what their totals are. I've got to figure out if they're trending, what months are working, what regions are performing the best. You'll notice Copilot's still doing its little thing here. Now, by the way, I sped this up, so when I edited the video, I cut out the parts where you waited for a long time. So it may seem like it's super fast. On weekends, it's super fast. During the week, it's not super fast. It's like cable, right? When all the kids are home from school streaming, your internet slows down. Honestly, it's the same with Copilot for some reason. All right, we're still at step 1. But you notice, look, it's formatting, right? It's actually going to fix this. And if you watch the steps, it actually says, I don't like the formatting, I'm going to redo it. So it iterates in steps. And full disclosure, I just did this morning because I wanted to make sure it was fresh and working. So this is not just a video. This is something I literally created this morning. And there it is. Look at that. Look at this. Regional analysis, salesperson performance, product category breakdown, all off the stuff it made up, but it then went out and did what I needed to. Now, obviously, the salesperson performance, that table got really big. Right? So you'll see me scroll. There we go. All right? This is the power of Edit in Copilot in Excel. So for those of you that work in Excel, this is going to save you a ton of time. Okay? I could have simply just asked it, give me some insights. Tell me about this file, whatever. I could have asked it anything. I could have said, given the sales performance, how does that match up with other sales performers in the industry if they have public information? So I have a partner, because I only work with partners, that have a group of people called brand managers. Now, these brand managers are basically sales managers, each assigned to a brand. Every quarter, those brand managers have to take all of that data for the quarter from their brand and provide a dashboard to the leadership team. Now, I get it. I work for Microsoft. I'm going to tout my product, okay? I am going to give you verbatim what I was told by this partner, okay? It's going to sound a little astounding, but given all I've shown you so far and the fact that each of you understand spreadsheets and how arduous it is to get data out of them, hopefully this will make sense. I showed him, it was agent mode at the time because they have the paid version. And I said, let's just try this, right? He had a spreadsheet. He actually did copy and paste from a second spreadsheet. We could have actually told Copilot, read all of these spreadsheets and do this, but I was just easy. I was on the phone. We were in a meeting. It was a 30-minute meeting. I'm like, just copy and throw it into another tab. So he did that. And then he just typed in a new tab, provide me insights about the information. Very simple. No context. That's the nice thing. When you're in the application, you don't need as much context because it understands that it's in Excel. It understands that Excel has data and tables and formulas. Okay, that's the beauty of this. So that's what he typed. And in less than 5 minutes, he had a baseline dashboard. Something's very similar to this. Right? And I don't know if I scrolled to the bottom. I probably didn't. There was actually, oh, there it is. Key sites and analysis. Oh, hallucinations. Top performing region, what do we see? Maria Santos, not the region. So there's a little bit of a hallucination there. So what do we always say about any AI? Verify. Just verify it. Go through and verify. I happened to catch that at the last minute. I'm like, oh, look at that. And at one point I did scroll back, and sure enough, she's in the West region or something like that. Anyway, so we played around with some prompting with this partner. So 5, 6, 7 minutes, and he added a couple of more prompts. And he said he was within 95% of being done with his dashboard. I said, how much time did this save you? He said, a week. So you figure he probably would spend 3 or 4 hours a day? Because, I mean, our eyes, everybody here, your eyes would start bleeding, right? If you're just staring at spreadsheets trying to create a dashboard more than a couple hours a day. So you figure he probably, went out and did something else, answered an email, maybe jumped on a meeting, then went back to it. So maybe not 40 hours, possibly 30 or even 20, but think about it. Look what it just did. Think about how much time this saves you. Now, given that information, anybody here think that Copilot's going to replace somebody in this scenario? Be honest. You can say yes. Yeah. Okay. Let me give it to you the way a CRO gave it to me. Because I said, this is a double-edged sword. We're saving all this time. You're going to free people up. Are you going to need them? Because that's the fear. That's what we hear. You want to know what he said? He said, absolutely not. He said, I'm going to grow my business. I was like, explain that to me. He said, if I have 2 people doing a job and I can save both of them half a day's time, I'm going to shift the priorities of one person over to another. Now they've got a full day of work with Copilot. I've just freed up an entire resource to go off and do a new project for me. So it's not about getting rid of people. It's about growing your business because of the time you're saving. I think that's amazing. All right. What do you guys think about Copilot in Excel? Is that not? I mean, I'm not a spreadsheet person. I thought that was amazing. But I'm kind of supposed to think that's amazing, right? All right, let's go check on our network. It could look different, only because it might iterate on other spreadsheets like it. So on your output, when you say give me insights, it might go and compare to other sales spreadsheets that are in the tenant that have been produced. Like, because it's got a memory, if you had created other spreadsheets for this, it might go back and look at past spreadsheets, and in the Insights tab, it might actually say something like, based on prior performance, this is the trend that we're seeing. Or you could ask it to say, based on prior performance, that you've seen in other spreadsheets, because it does have a memory. Okay, it would probably provide you insights on things in the past. Okay, but you could upload a file into Copilot or upload multiple files into Copilot and then ask it for history across the entire, or performance across all of them. So let's say you're doing the free version, right? And you're doing a monthly QBR, or the MBR, right? Quarterly, monthly. At the end of the year, you could upload all 12 files to Copilot and say, give me a yearly synopsis, right? So, and instead of copying and pasting all 12 of the spreadsheets into one and then asking to work on that, you can actually upload files. And I'll show you how that works in Word. But let me just check for a moment, see if we have. Not enough internet here to get this done. So try one last time. That's unfortunate. I wonder if I can do it this way. That's going to be my work Copilot. I can't do that. So let me sign out. Oh, wait a minute. I think, no, that's the work. Researcher analysis and sales. That's the work profile. I was afraid of that. That's unfortunate. But let's move on to our Word demo. All right, there were a bunch of you said you worked in Word, correct? What kind of documents do you write? Come on. Yes, and that's something you can do as well. Okay, looks like we're back. So from current slide. Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is the Word demo. Now this one's a little bit longer because I did a couple of different things. So one of the first things I want you to notice, I couldn't click on that. It doesn't say edit, okay? It says chat only. And when I try to hit the pull down, it doesn't let me. What that tells me is we didn't release edit with Copilot into Word. Okay, so it's still the basic functionality. Okay, but watch what we can do, all right? I work for a nonprofit organization called the UC User Group, write a grant request so that we can get funding for an upcoming project. But what it's gonna do, it's not gonna put it into the Word document because it doesn't have that power. Microsoft did not release that to Word yet, okay? But it's in PowerPoint and it's in Excel. But it still created it for me. It's just doing it in chat. What I'll do from here, as soon as it's done, there we go. Again, I edited this, so I logged time so you could at least see it and I could explain it because I thought this might happen. I wanted to be able to explain it. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go up here, I'm gonna hit copy because I didn't want to do anything else. I'm gonna copy the response and I'm just gonna go paste it into Word. It still saves me a ton of time. And now I might have to deal with some formatting, right? I might want to clean it up a little bit, but at least it's all there. It just wrote a grant for me. I've had people use it to write murder mysteries. So my sister is, she's on a nonprofit for an equestrian group, and every year they do a get-together and they do a murder mystery. And what they do is they bring 4 or 5 people in a room over a weekend, and they develop this murder mystery. They come up with a storyline. They have writers that start to write the storyline, so they have to do character development and all this. Four to 5 people doing this over a weekend. She went into Copilot and said, write me a murder mystery, and she gave it some parameters. She had her murder mystery in, minutes. She said, you just saved 5 people an entire weekend. She says, I don't like you anymore. All right, so what's next here? What are we doing? Oh, all right. So this one, I told it to write a story. It actually said, create a story about the weather in Denver. This is the prompt I used, very close. So in Denver, the weather, like to pretend it was many one things at once. One morning it woke up shiny and breezy, so it's adding a little humor, right? Because it knows it's a story, okay? So weather and story probably don't go together real well. It's probably a bad analogy, but anyway, you can see it can write as well. So you can actually have it write things for you. So, performance reviews, data that you can provide it. What I'm doing here is I've just provided it a document. So Hey Pops is the first chapter in a short story that my stepfather wrote. He was an author before he passed away. And this one, for whatever reason, it didn't like it. And I think it has to do with the file location in my computer. I think it was in my Microsoft account and not in my personal account. So I went with another one that I know I had. So that one was M365 Copilot Agent Exercises. So I'd written a document on some exercises you could do on your own with Copilot. That's what that document was. So what did it say? It says, the hand-on agent creation, step 1. 2 was the automation of insights. Okay, so you can upload documents in the free version and ask Copilot, summarize this document. Help me understand this document. You could do comparisons. You could upload 2 documents. Please compare this document and tell me what the differences are. The Word's a little bit behind, right? But I expect to see edit in Word come out relatively soon. Okay, you've got it in Excel and PowerPoint, right? So pretty cool. Map to exercise business roles, create one-page brief. Okay, so Copilot's going to have some prompts there for you to try because it knows it's a Word document and understands the kind of document that you have. What do you guys think so far? Any questions? RFPs are a great example. Yep. Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, yes. So you always have to check it. So, same partner, different story. They were trying to make an agent, and what this agent was supposed to do was reach out to various public websites and read the meeting minutes of municipalities' monthly board meetings. Okay, looking for keywords like budget, project, allocation, things like that. So it's looking for work. Okay, it would iterate on those and then map what the project was to an offering that they had. Because remember, it's in their tenant. It knows what their offers are. And then the prompt, well, they tried to make it an agent. The agent was given specific instructions on how to output that information. Ideally being they would run the agent, it would produce an output, they would take that output, hand it to a salesperson and say, go win this business. How cool would that be if you were a salesperson and you walked into a municipality's budget meeting after being invited or told that you could speak and say, on docket number 475, your IT expansion plan, we can help you with that. Here's the price. We'll do it all. I mean, how powerful would that be? Right? You walked in, they didn't know that you knew what was going on, and you walked in and you told them the specifics about a project that they had from a board meeting that the notes were public. And the best part is, even if it was yesterday and they were going to have a follow-up meeting where you were invited to, there's no way a human person could have gone through those meeting minutes, iterated against all of that. I suppose you could have had a team or something like that. But how powerful would that be if you showed up the next day, knew everything about that project that was made public, had a solution for it, and were ready to get, and came with a contract. A little bold, but we are talking about New York, so that kind of stuff happens. But I mean, the power and the time savings and the things it can do are just amazing. But this wasn't really Word. This was Copilot. This was a free Copilot. So you remember I said I had a free version? So up at the top, you see my account. So that's my own personal tenant. So I have a version with a paid subscription and one without. And the way we know, right, real quick, is up at the top. If it was the paid version, and those of you that have the paid version will know this, it would say Work Web. So this is just regular Copilot. So you don't see that in the free version. So that's how you know it's the free version. But you do see the little green shield with the checkbox. And what does that tell us? It tells us that it's covered by enterprise data protection. Sorry, I told you English was my second language. Bad English is my first. All right. So that's about it for that Word file. I wanted to show you that you can upload files, and that's how. So when you hit the / it will then bring up a list of files that you previously worked on. All right. So the next one that we have PowerPoint one? No. Oh, it started over. Okay. How many people recognize this as PowerPoint? Every one of you should. This is what a blank PowerPoint looks like. I've already opened up Copilot, and what's the first thing we see? Where is it? Nope, it already started, didn't it? Back it up. Oh, okay, I started. Okay, so what happened was I started to create something, and I didn't like what it did, so I just started over and I cut that part out of the recording. But just take my word for it. When I fired, oh, there it is, edit. So you can see edit. I'm using edit. Okay, there it is. It wouldn't have been there had it not been there. So we do have edit in here. So, create a presentation about CommsV Next 2026. Oh, that's what happened from the website. So the first thing I did was I said from CommsV Next 2026, and it hallucinated. It gave me bogus information. I'm like, what? So then I had to add the URL. So watch what this does. Now, again, this took 16 minutes in real time. I've cut it down to 2, 3 maybe. We're just going to let this run because the magic is just in here. So watch. So I'll click plus. Now, normally when you do this, it's going to ask you about some specific formatting. Because I had already done it and I didn't close out and start a new session, it didn't bother asking me the format because it was just going to keep the format I'd already given it. So you won't see that. But normally you would see it, it would stop and ask you 2 questions. How many slides? Well, it'll actually give you sizes. 5 to 6, 8 to 10, 10 to 15. And then you check. Then it'll ask you a second question. How do you want the graphics formatted? Right? Because it wants to understand how you want it to look. And if, depending on the format you chose, it might ask you a third question about the images that go into it. Okay, so when you're using this, expect to have some feedback here. Okay, it's not just going to do what you said. It's going to want to understand better the size, the type of content, and the way you want it to look. Right? So we've already performed required actions. We're planning our presentation structure. We're planning our slide visuals. We're fixing slide clarity. I'm updating text colors for readability. Right? So somewhere in that background, it just said, okay, throw that stuff in there. It's like, no, we can't stop there. We now need readability. Light fonts on dark backgrounds, dark fonts on light backgrounds, nice visuals on the back end, etc. Right? Performing required actions, applying final tweaks, sorry. 3, 2, 1. Right? Reason, boom, done. And look at those. Come on, you guys. If this doesn't wow you, then nothing, you guys, I'm going to bring in coffee. Right? I mean, I create presentations all day long. Right? I can tell you this would have taken an hour. And that's real time. You guys all work in PowerPoint, or most of you do. You understand what it takes for the graphics to look like this. Okay? And for it to come up with that, and for it to come up with, I didn't hallucinate, check it. Okay, but we're mostly valid information. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's everything. It's a PowerPoint. So once it's done creating, you can go do anything you want to it. Let's see if I let's see if so no, because if it's not in your tenant, there's going to be things it would like to offer for you, but it can't, right? Because it might ask, because of work IQ, and it knows that you've created past PowerPoints, it might, and you've probably given it instructions about how to create the last PowerPoints, it's going to remember that. So it might, so one of the examples that I heard today was one of my fellow teammates likes to play around with Copilot and make presentations. And so he made a presentation and said, give me, oh, you know what? It was Kevin Keeler from this morning. It was Kevin. This is Kevin's story. He might retell this story. Don't tell him that I told you the story. By the way, Kevin's, I think his session is next. You're going to get the flip side of my presentation. So where I'm touting it, Kevin's going to talk about how it can do bad things. I'm not talking about hacking, but how it can hallucinate really bad. So I would highly recommend you go to Kevin's session if you're interested in more Copilot information. So that's the plug for Kevin. All right, now I'm going to tell you Kevin's story. He's going to tell you the same story. So he had it, and this is about work IQ and memory. He created a nose for Pinocchio for his presentation, right? Talk about Copilot lying, right? Well, he likes to put his dog in presentations. So when it created the image of its dog, he was trying to remove a background. So he uploaded the image of his dog and had it remove the background, and Pinocchio nose to his dog. So because it remembered that he had asked for a Pinocchio nose in a previous slide. So you might have, because work IQ has memory, you might have to untell it formatting. For this presentation, do not use the Pinocchio nose. Okay? So, and everything's changing so fast. These rules, I wouldn't have told you 3 months ago. Okay? It's just changing so fast. You know, my user group is quarterly. We can't keep up. By the time my guys produce the information for the presentation that will be distributed for the entire quarter, or at least the last 2 months, they usually take the first month to do that, the information's obsolete, almost. That's how fast things are moving. And it's killing me that I can't show you guys live demos. Thank God I made my recordings. I'm gonna try one more thing since we've got 8 minutes left. And hopefully that'll work. So let me try a restart. Oh, wait a minute. +9. Still no control yet? That. Nope, still can't switch. All right. So let's try a quick reboot. See if we can get that back, because I really would like to show you the agent live. Yes, absolutely. Or, yes, yeah. So not in this presentation, but in my in my paid Copilot presentations, I talk about user adoption, and I talk about that thing that I call it the hockey stick moment. Think about this. Yes. Oh, okay. Sorry. It was about prompting. So the question was, can I ask Copilot to ask me questions to make the better prompt? Right, thanks. And so the answer is yes. Or what you could do is you could ask it to make the prompt for you. Okay, so back to the hockey stick moment. So Copilot adoption takes a long time. There's people that are, I don't want to say afraid, I'm going to say hesitant, because things change. Right? I just learned that, now I got to unlearn. I'm just going to wait. Other people are like, I don't want to pay for it, it's too expensive. Really not when you consider the time savings. But at some point, if you do use it, you're going to get to a point where you're going to walk into work, show up at work, you're going to turn on your laptop if you work from home, and without even thinking about it, you're going to click on Copilot or click on an agent. I call that the hockey stick moment, when your usage goes like that. And it's that moment right there where agents become your next thing in Copilot. You might be dabbling with agents along the way, but once you hit that hockey stick moment, you're going to want, what more can it do? And that's what I call a hockey stick moment. Now that we're booted back up here, let's see what we can have access to. In my 6 minutes remaining. Go, go, go. Far so good. I wonder if Copilot must have done an update. Or I broke it. I've been accused of that before. You broke Copilot again. Almost. There we go. Okay. All right. So this is, there we go. Switch. Okay. Here we are. This is my free Copilot. I am under admin, right? So I should not have. Good. All right. Yes. Yep. Okay. This is my free Copilot. The reason we know, you don't see work web, and you don't see you see the A. This is my admin user in my personal tenant. I did not give it a Copilot license. Okay. So what can we do? Well, like I showed you, we can summarize a document. What do you guys want? Whether you want Give me a prompt, something that's web-based that you would think of. Anyway, just blurt it out. Okay. Provide me, and is that a group or a city? It's a venue. Provide me the schedule for the venue known as Red Rocks. Oh, okay. It's in Denver. Now, here's what we're going to do. That's a search engine thing, right? You could do that with Bing or whatever. Let's do this. Then provide me a list of artists, bands, and where they will be next. So now we've just asked it to do a little thinking. Okay. Also, provide the varying level of places available. Okay. There's schedule. Oh, and guess what? Look at that. Red Rock's official listing. Bands playing. So it's following now the second instruction I asked it to do. And then our third prices. So live demo. I have 2.5 minutes left. We can end there. And I will take 2.5 minutes of applause. I'm just kidding. Just throw money. Or we can do one more if anybody's got another one they'd like to try. Let's try looking at one more document. Let's see if I can grab another document real quick. That's a good question. I don't know about using agents inside of, I'm pretty sure you can, but I'm not exactly sure how. Usually, if I'm going to apply an agent to a document, I would do it in Copilot, not actually in the document. But one thing you can do within a document is ask it to go out to the web or to iterate within your tenant if you have the paid version, right? So you can ask it like regular Copilot questions while you're in Word as it applies to the document. So it's kind of there, but not maybe exactly the way you were thinking. Because usually you would run those outside, right? So instead of being inside the Excel spreadsheet and trying to fire off the agent, you'd be outside firing off the agent and then having it point itself at Excel and iterate in Excel like that. Yeah. And who's created an agent? I've got a minute left. You want to create an agent? Watch this. Create an agent that will provide the information about bands playing at the Red Rock in Denver. Okay, and just for the sake of time, I'm going to create. Okay, boom, I just created an agent. Now this agent knows about I've given it specific instructions to provide me information about the venues or rock bands that are coming to Red Rocks. Yes, question. Yep. That's correct. And these are all web-based only. What is the current? Now I don't have to give it context because it knows what the context is. So I can be a little more conversational now because I'm dealing with an agent. Now I could go in and I could specify redrocks.com or a list of the bands.com, or I could do multiple venues. things like this. I could give it specific instructions. Now, again, this is free. So if you're a coordinator of some sort, you might use this, right, to help keep track of things. And there it is. We've got May 7th, May 5th. What else? There we go. All right, I know it was a little disjointed. My apologies. Some things can't be helped. Thank you for your time. I hope I wowed you. I hope you have a free version. I hope you go home and try it. That's the purpose. That's the point. Tell your friends. Show them, right? Show them how Copilot works. Show them how easy it is, and it's free. That's the point I've been trying to get across. All of the stuff I showed you today is free. So go use it. Thank you for your time.